This is Chris Elliott with the Elliott Real Estate Team with your November 2021 Real Estate Market Update. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. My name is Chris Elliott with the Elliott Real Estate Team, brokered by RE/MAX Action. Before we jump into it, if you would like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, definitely appreciate it. All right, so let's jump into it. So the number of showings on properties, the showing time index, has been dropping steadily since the month of March, where we kind of peaked out the number of activity, the number of showings, the number of activity that we were seeing in the real estate market. That has a lot of homeowners, a lot of sellers asking the question, hey, is the market dying out? Is the bottom falling out? Is the sky falling? All those kind of things. And I would make the argument that no. I think you really have to put it in the context of where we're at compared to previous years. So a good graphic that you're seeing over my shoulder. This is the showing time index looking at September's, not only in 2021, but also going back to 2017, 2018, 2019. 2020 was kind of an anomaly year. And as you can see, even though the number of showings has dropped since the spring, we're still well above the activity that we saw in those years. And those are years that we still had strong fall and winter markets. So once again, I think context is everything with this thing. Bill McBridge of Calculated Risk says that we are seeing the strongest sales numbers for the month of September that we have seen since 2005. So still a very, very strong seller's market, still a lot of activity, a lot of sales going on in the market that we're seeing. All right, so peeking into 2022. We will still have price appreciation, but it would be more of a tamer, kind of more normalized rate of 5.1%. Of course, different firms have different projections as far as what it's going to be, but everybody's projecting that it's going to be a little bit less than what we saw this year. This year, we saw absolutely bananas crazy appreciation of about 19%, depending on which study you look at. The 50-year average for home appreciation is about anywhere from 2 to 3%. So 19 was completely off the charts. And even at 5.1%, we're still almost double what we're seeing on an historic basis. But it's going to be a lot more tamer, once again, than what we've seen over the last 2 years between 2020 and 2021. Also, we are set to see more transactions in 2022 than we saw in 2021. And the reality is we saw a ton of a large number of transactions in 2021. A lot of people felt like, hey, there's no inventory on the market just because things were selling so quickly. The reality is, if you look at the data, there were actually more homes that hit the market in 2021 than 2020. The reality is they were just moving, the demand was so high that they were moving at such a quick rate that it just felt like there was no homes on the market just because they were getting gobbled up as soon as they were hitting. So something to keep in context as well. And the other point to look at in 2022, we've talked about this in the last couple of months, interest rates are set to jump up a little bit. They're still going to be at historic lows, but they are set to tick up just a little bit. So once again, if you are somebody that is waiting until the market gets better, realize that not only are prices going up, but interest rates are going up as well. So what does this all mean to you? For sellers, the market is not expected to crash. So I've had this conversation more times than I can even remember, where sellers feel like, man, I need to get my home on the market because the market's about to fall out, or I feel like the market's about to crash. I don't have a crystal ball, but every real estate expert that I follow that's legitimate and is worth their salt is basically saying we're going to see at least another 2 to 3 years of a very strong market. And then, outside of that, I don't think really anybody has a good gauge from there. I would not list going into Thanksgiving weekend. So this is a conversation we've been having with our clients. We will generally, statistically, the best time of the week to hit the market is either on a Thursday or a Friday, just because a lot of real estate activity happens over the weekend. That being said, holiday weekends are never really the best to go on the market, just because, yes, homes will be listed, yes, homes will go under contract, but the reality is a lot of buyers are going to be out of town, are going to be, with family, are going to be putting their home search on pause. And if we look at historical data, the number of showings will always drop on any holiday weekend, Thanksgiving included. And then last but not least, realize that 2022 is not expected to be another 2021. So I've talked with people that really have high expectations, and it's going to be a great market, but despite the crazy stories you may have heard from friends and family in 2021, you've got to go into 2022 with realistic expectations that it is going to be a different year. It's still going to be a great seller's market. We're just not going to be seeing the craziness, or we're not projected to see the craziness that we saw this past year. For buyers, kind of sounds like a broken record, but the market is not expected to crash. So once again, we've also had a lot of conversations with buyers that are scared to buy because they feel like the bottom is going to fall out of the real estate market. Based on every economic forecast that we see, that's not projected to happen. Even when the market does slow down, experts are saying that we're just going to kind of plateau, that the values are not actually going to drop. They're just going to not accelerate at the rate at which we've been seeing. The inventory is there. It's just going quickly. So kind of the story over the last 2 years, you really got to have your ducks in a row. You've got to be ready to pull the trigger, but realize there is inventory that's coming on the market. It's just very competitive for that inventory, and it's going very quickly, so you've got to have the confidence to act quickly. And then last but not least, we already talked about waiting will cost you. So I'm a firm believer, don't buy a house until you're personally ready to buy a house, but realize if you're somebody that's waiting for the market to drop or things of that nature, just realize that prices are projected to continue to rise, and also the cost of your financing, mortgage rates, is expected to go up as well. So if you wait another year, it's just going to be that much more expensive. So hope you found value in that. If you have questions, concerns, thoughts, fears that I did not address in this, feel free to shoot me a direct message or throw it in the comments. I appreciate your attention. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next month.